Today I'm going to be creating a new game. I did a game last time using one of the frameworks. And I also noticed after the fact that my camera was covering up part of the interface when going through creating a new game. So I will do a little bit better this time and move my big head over to the side, which way, that way, that way. Anyway, so here we are. Let's see my luck today on the opening of the chest. Oh, I am walking and dancing today, I guess. Jump. Looks like I'm stuck in a dance groove. That's cool. I've never seen that. So let's open up our crate and hope for some good luck today. I'm dancing and opening crates. Let's see. We got 10,000. That's not bad. That's I think that's a record for our best. So, all right. Well, I am stuck in this dance. Let's try a different dance. There we go. That got us out of that dance. All right. So, to create a new game, you will go to create up here. And you'll see projects that you've already created, like I've got many right here, and you will click create new. Okay, so my big head is not covering that up. And so you hit that, and then now, ahead of time I probably could have just done both of these, but let's move me out of the way. That did not move me. All right. So today I'm going to be doing an empty project. That is, very basic, just bare bones with really nothing in there except the basics to get you started. I did deathmatch last time, and then I'm still covering up a little bit of this. I thought I could move them both at the same time. Oh. Let's see, overlay camera. And camera, okay. Let's try to do this right this time. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. So, you have all sorts of frameworks to start from. If you, let's say you have a 3-day project and you want to create a new game just in 3 days. And there happens to be if you go to the Discord, it was an announcement for a game jam this weekend, a game jam for fun, and they have, you have 3 days to create a game. So I didn't see in the rules anything about not using a framework already created. So this will save you a lot of time, depending on the final, because they haven't decided on what the theme will be. I won't be able to do it this weekend, but good luck to anyone who does. This will help you out because you've got deathmatch, dungeon crawler, you can create a racing game, and everything is there for you to create the basics. Battle Royale, last man standing, capture and hold, and then capture the flag, gun game, and then you have these three. I did describe them a little bit more last time, but this time I wanted to not cover them up with my big old head. So this time we are going to do an empty project, and let's see. I want to click on this. Okay, so we're going to do empty project, and then I am going to, hopefully this time this will work and not totally mess up like it did before. So empty project and name it. This I'm just going to call a test project, and hope that I did not already create something good. All right, so let me put myself back over maybe here, and let's see if that cool. All right, I still cover up a little bit, but that's okay. All right, so this is the game space, very basic. It is the default floor. It is just a cube. So it is at the 0, 0, 0, minus 50. So I'm going to start with, let's say you don't want the default floor. For now, I'm just going to hide it because eventually I am going to want the default floor. But let's say you wanted a terrain. Very simple. You just hit create terrain. You can do flat. Some of the, I didn't go through this last time, but there's noisy planet, there's ravines, rocky hills, rolling hills. I mean, all sorts of really kind of cool things. So there is even background mountains, which is actually really nice for when you want to, a neat trick. I'll actually show you this. So we're going to make it very large. Let's see, we're going to make it the largest it can actually be. And let's go with a little bit more of a height scale, generate. And so it should have generated. Where are you? That's funny. Never seen that. Maybe I went a little too extreme, or... Nope. Alright. I've never seen that. It actually wasn't visible. Alright. Try that again. Let's do background mountains. I still am going to do that, but I won't mess with the height scale. And generate. Cool. Great start. See, this is why most YouTube videos aren't done as live streams. You go back and edit. Oh, there it is. Alright, it's because everything was at like -50. So, but I did double click on it and it sent me interesting. Alright. If I hit F. Nope, that doesn't do it either. Alright. So let's drop this down. Okay, now cover up. Let's show the floor. Okay, so let's say you did want to keep the floor and you could just hit play and there you are. So this actually created background mountains for you immediately. So you have your play space right in the middle and then you have a background. So that already builds in more of an atmosphere than just using the sky. And you can go through and you can click on it, and let's just do a quick create a terrain. Let's add materials. Let's make the base materials snow. So it's like snowy mountains. So there you go. Now it's a nice snowy mountain backdrop. And now say, okay, you don't want to use a regular plane. You want to have something more dynamic as your main ground. You can create a second terrain. And we're going to make this rolling hills. And we're just going to make it, we're going to make it this big. Generate. And so we're going to put this one at top. And so the main thing you want to do for this, because there can only be one terrain with collision. So you need to designate which one is the primary. With the collisions. Okay, well, you know what, I'm just going to delete that. Alright, so let's see which one is yeah, of course it set that one, because it was the first one. Alright. So, there's the rolling hills. It really made some very rolling hills. And let's give it yes, okay. We're going to make it just bumpy grass for now. So, for this, we are... Sorry, trying to move that along. For this terrain, we're going to make it the primary, and I'm trying to find... Let's see, I thought it was here. It's visibility... Terrain material, optimize. Let's right click and see. Sorry about this. I thought changing it in the hierarchy would help, but it did not. So, I mean, another option is I can just delete the one and put the other. There has to be an easy way, and this is where you can always go to the core Discord, the creator Discord. There are a ton of people constantly monitoring it who can answer your questions all the time. So, for example, if I got stuck here and I could not figure out, okay, how do I switch, which one is the primary, I would go to the core Discord and I would actually ask them, how do I make this the primary terrain? So, oh, there we are, and I found it. It's where you create the terrain. So you click them, you click the one you want, you go up to this terrain button up here at the top, and you hit the rolling hills as your primary. And now when I hit play, I am standing on a hill, and there we go. And so that is just kind of the simple. In the last video, I did show and I'll just show it really quickly here. If you want to sculpt, there's all sorts of tools here. You have the surface, which will raise or lower it. You can do this kind of weird shape thing that will kind of cut or allow you to draw, based on the shape you choose. Or you can cut into the ground using the shape you choose. So you can do some kind of neat effects. Then you have smoothing, which is very nice. I have found that after you smooth, you will need to optimize the terrain, because whatever it does, it really kind of messes with the voxels a bit, and it does need to be optimized. And to optimize either terrain, you just click on the terrain. You click on this optimize over here. And then, is it covered up? It is covered up. Sorry about that. Just realized it is very covered up. At least the important parts that I've been talking about to this point have all been on screen. Okay. There we go. You know what? That's fine. Okay, so optimize, you click here and you hit optimize. It will go through, and this should change depending. You hit optimize, and I guess I do have some pretty complex terrains. Here we go. Let's simplify also and see what that does. So basically, having something in the yellow like it is at the top here will create some issues, especially with networking, I found, with multiplayer games, with when you have a lot of people come in having something too complex. This is getting a little high for me with the terrain, and with no objects added. It's a little bit too much. So the next step after this optimizes, simplifying the voxels, I did find when I did one of my games, I did background mountains, and I was trying to sculpt it to make it look a little bit better. It was really wreaking havoc on this number here. So simplifying voxels, optimizing really helped. There is also something here, minimum required players for. That is, someone explained it to me. It just has to do with how much the terrain, how big the terrain is, and the optimal usage. So again, that's what the core Discord is for. You can ask all sorts of good questions. So that's the basics of that. So let's say you wanted to add some objects into the game. You can, to do that, this is just dropping some things in for now. We'll get to some coding in just a tiny bit. But there's community content, which I did show if you want to add an NPC AI kit, and there's also the, let's see, let's go with core content, because I'm going to drop a car and drive it around and just see how rolling these hills actually are. Let's see. And so you can just actually just search for car. And let's drop in. And all you have to do is just drag and drop whatever you choose. And in this case, I'm just going to go with let's go with the sedan. It's a little bit, actually, yeah, let's go with the sedan. And so you come back to the game. You have to close, use 2 monitors, which I would right now, except it would send it off screen. So let's put it over closer to my spawn point so I don't have to run too far. And let's hit play. There's the car. And just immediately, it's all pre-programmed for you to just get in and drive around on this terrain, so you can check it out kind of quickly. You can also mount up, and that's kind of cool. So, and I can show that if you hit play. You can get on your mount. You can also ride around and see everything that you have created so far, which is just, the basic create from scratch terrain. So this is just to get started, and also helps you, if you're building something and let's say you've been, working on every aspect of this terrain, and you find a glitch or a hole or something, and you don't like this, when you hit escape, it takes you right to the part that you are working on, and you can click on the terrain, go to sculpt, and you can say, I really want to trim this, up, down, and then there you go. It will do that. Trim I haven't used a lot. I kind of stopped in the middle of me explaining these things, but flatten allows you to flatten based on the height that you're at, and you can give it more strength, size. So if you start up here, it will flatten up to that point. If you start down here, based on this, use average. If you don't use average, that's actually where you can start here, and it will do the height based on where you start. And that's actually very useful if you're trying to create a flat terrain. So, and the same thing, you hit down. So let's say you want everything to be this height, you can just cut through. It's actually, this is so high, I believe it created a cave. Let's go and look. And the cave creation, no, it did not. I thought it would. Weird. I guess that is too much, so let's go in here, click, there. There we go. Now I built a cave. Oh, and now, yeah. So, the cave creation is pretty cool in this too. Very easy. It's really nice, just the whole terrain, everything, and I mentioned this before in the last video. It really is great. So, but for this, what I'm doing here for this test, I'm not going to be using a bumpy terrain. So I'm going to get rid of it. And I am going to put back, let's see, do I want it? You know what? Yeah, I'm going to put back my floor, which means I need to, let's see, create gameplay object. I just wanted to see if it was easy. You can also get vehicles, weapons, all sorts of things from this menu here for creating gameplay objects that can be used. So I am going to bring back core content, 3D objects. I'm going to get the cube. I'm just going to put it, actually I'm going to put it here so it's at 0. And where are you? There you are. I'm going to make it, let's go that way, and let's go this way. All right, let's make it a little bit bigger. A little bit more. All right. So another thing I want to show, I'm kind of going over just the basics of how to just get started in the building of these games. So there's a lot involved in all of this. So let's go and now I want to show you the materials. Core is different in that the materials you choose, they are already pre-programmed with the friction. So if, for example, you want this to be, and I found this to be the, let's see, gel. This is the absolute slipperiest, slipperier than ice material. And so the best way to show it off, let me see if, okay, it doesn't work when you're running slow. So let's go and let's make me run really fast. Third person camera, third person settings. Let's see, max acceleration, let's make it 10,000. Walk floor, max speed will be 10,000. Let's see how fast. Yeah, and you slide a bit, so you can see it's just the material. This is the slipperiest material, so if you make this, let's go with rubber. This is the one with the best grip, and you run, and he slides the same. All right, so you're probably not going to believe me when you watch this. So, all right, oh, because I'm going so fast. All right. However, a car does it here. Oh, I need to speed this car up. That car is just way too slow. Max speed 100,000. 100,000. Let's give it a little bit of a good turn radius, 1400. Friction will be set to 1. Brake strength 20. Alright. I should probably slow myself down before I throw the car. Alright, so this should... Oh. So one quick thing, when you do any work on anything with a template, like if you grab it from the core library and it's already a blue template like this and it's in your game, you do, when you make changes, you have to hit update template from this. So I just increased the speed a lot, and you notice it still went slow as molasses. You have to hit update template from this, and then that will allow you to not have it still work. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So I must have missed something. Nope. I just want to make sure that, let's just, whoops. All right. Also, when testing, you can do extremes. If something doesn't look like it is working right, you can kind of push it to an extreme. Yeah, there's no way that's 100,000 or a million at this point. I will say, in all my earlier tests, the materials were, especially rubber, was gripping a lot better than this. I might have to, I'll probably do a video on it, but so if you change this to gel, I'll change it back to gel. I'm just going to test this. Hit done. Hit play, and you jump in your car. And I'm going to do that same turn that I just did. Yeah, it wouldn't even turn. So let's double click on that. Let's hit play. So yeah, the material it does matter. The reason I'm not seeing it, I guess, is because it's so flat, but yeah. It is extremely slippery, this and ice, and so it has trouble stopping. So in core, all materials are basically, they have their friction built in. I didn't test it with a mount, though. A slow mount. Yeah, they turn on a dime. I've never actually tested with a mount before. But it seems to matter mainly with vehicles and not so much people. I thought it did, but he's sliding just the same. As if it were rubber or cement. I did an entire test with the cars where you have, I did cement, I did wood, I did gel and everything, and ice. And that's how I determined that rubber's the most grip and gel is the worst, worse than ice. So that is that. All right, so let's say you wanted to make a game where you have some enemies and they jump in at random times. I'm going to make this, just make it grass. Let's do artificial grass. All right, give it some texture so I can see where I am. So before I did this, it's actually where I ended the stream last time, but I just want to show just kind of how cool this is. All right, we're going to save. I forgot to save. Please save your stuff better than I just did, because that was pretty bad. All right, so let's check this. Okay, so let's put in the ambush camp. I'm going to put it over here. All right. So static player equipment, put that here. I think I put that there. All right. So once that's in, you need to go in and read the README, and this will open up in code. And let's see the MPC kit README. So to get started, look at the dependencies and add one of these to the hierarchy. Waypoint example, ambush camp, and MOBA example. Then add to the hierarchy a copy of combat dependencies, which is, hold on. Then add to the hierarchy a copy of combat dependencies. I believe, is that in... Let's do combat. Actually, this might be a... Let's see. Combat dependencies by standard combo. I just want to make sure that that's the right one and that it is not in here. No. Okay. So standard combo created this. You do need... So for this to work, you do need 2 of them. And you put that into the hierarchy also, according to the instructions. So NPCs can drop loot when they die. To enable this, we don't really want that yet. NPCs can navigate indoor environments with a navigational mesh. Don't need to do that. Okay, so let's now, with combat dependencies put in, I dropped a weapon. Let's just see if the base thing works at this point. So, all right. Now, oh, there it is. I have to push this. Oh, you know what? I'm going to fix my speed because I'm running 100,000 miles an hour. Actually, only 10,000. Let's just put me back to 1,000. 1,000 sounds good. Okay. All right, so when you run up here, they should appear and there should be no errors, and you can shoot them. I am getting... Okay, that's a basic error. But you can set the damage of your weapon and everything, and so you can see, you know, how easy that was just to create. So I haven't set any respawn code or anything like that, so I am now dead and gone. So that is just one example of some cool community content that you can just throw into your game and get started and start working with it from there. So let me see if there's anything else. Spawn points. Oh, set spawn points. That would have been good. I probably, let's go back to our content. Excuse me. And let's see, waypoint example. Let's see, that is probably not what I wanted. Creating your own NPCs. Okay. So there's lots of information in here. I have done this once, but not a whole lot with the building of, or using that particular thing. So waypoint, let me just see if this, how this works. Go through there. Oh, the waypoint. So they're there, and it's not an ambush, it is them just kind of chilling out, walking around. I've actually never used that one. I've only ever used the ambush. So that's kind of good, cool. Because I do want to create a game where I do have NPCs, because a lot of times when you do like a deathmatch, because there's so many games, you may not ever have, you know, more than 2 players playing a game, 3 players, depending on whether or not it's featured, or unless you make an absolutely stellar game like the ones that are always at the top. Those games always have people, but when you're first starting out, you want to have something that other people can do. So, all right, they don't see me, so they're on patrol at this point. So there you go. Those are the basics of using that. Let's go and let's look at some other community content that I have run across and used. If you want, I don't know if this is a day-night cycle. I haven't used that. You want an FPS meter in your game? You can just drop this in. And I'm just going to drop that in too. Let me see if it worked right off the bat. Yes. So if you're doing testing and you want to see how the game is running, again, community content, someone created an FPS meter. And you can see up in the top corner, up there in the top corner is a constantly running FPS meter. So you can tell, you know, where there might be hiccups if you're running along or driving along. And you see that. Now, actually, I've never tested this. Can we drive into the skeletons? If I could actually hit them. Wow, those are some tough skeletons. So that's interesting. I've never actually tried that before. Yeah, they are some solid objects. All right, so now if I get out, oh, they're on top of the car now. Cool. Can I shoot the car? No. Oh, and I just alerted these guys. So, all right. One of the cool things with the spawn points themselves, you can set the minions also. You don't have to have dragons and skeletons all the time. You can double click on that and you can get, let's see, enemy. And that's the dragons, skeletons. Whoops, I did not want to do that. Let's see. I thought there was a way to get all the types of enemies. There's skeletons, obviously skeletons and dragons. And what else have I seen? There's the fox. You can do a fox. That's funny. Let me see if this worked. So that's one of the spawn points. I have to run through the skeletons. One of them's arranged. So now a fox should appear, and there it is in the ground. Obviously, I broke it by doing that because I didn't do I didn't do it the right way, but you get the idea that your enemies can be, you can set them there, and then you have to set the specifics of them after the fact. So that is interesting, though. As far as the fox being in the ground, I guess I may need to, whoops. I'll have to change that. Let's put it above. Let me just test to make sure I didn't mess something up, or if it's something else. Yeah, it's something else. It's because it's not set to be an enemy. And since I'm just kind of doing a very quick run through of each thing, I'm not showing exactly how to add these things, or, you know, because that would take quite a long time and a lot of trial and error. So I don't think you want to necessarily watch that. Let's see, dragon. Let's just put that back. Dragon. And dragon. Oops. Dragon enemy easy. Okay. And then that should, hopefully I didn't break it. Well, not that matters. This is just, again, a test game. How to create something very fast. Yeah, okay, it worked this time. All right. So that's how you can set up ambush points. You can set up, there's also the static rifle that did not appear, it would seem. So you can create more weapons. Let's play. It should be next to the car here, but I do not see it. Interesting. Was I standing on it? Weird. Okay. Again, I could just sit here and play around with this, but you do not probably want to see that. If this is the type of game that interests you, there's a lot of trial and error when you're adding things. I need to reset the spawn point to a little higher. Oh, that's the cube. I just moved the entire land. Let's go to spawn point. Raise it up. All right. That's interesting, though. The rifle should have appeared there, but let's see. Equipment. Component root, static, player, equipment, destructible rifle. I guess because that is what I'm holding right away. Oh, maybe. I was thinking maybe because it's closed, because there are some where if you walk over, it will force that. So, all right, and let's say you wanted, okay, to, trying to think what else to add here. Let's see, community content. I want to see what else is out there. So combat dependencies was right here. Minimap, which is a very cool thing also if you want to add one of those to your game. Again, I have done this before. I'll show you just really quick. Let's throw that there. So now when you play, there should be a mini map. You see it in the upper corner up there. And so when you walk around, you know, this is obviously not drawn correctly because there is, and I'll show you how it works. So when you look up, you don't see, you just see the sky and everything. What it does is it uses these one-sided planes. So basically what that does is it's programmed to be a camera over top of your landscape. So and the way the minimap works is you can see there's different levels. When you hit play, like for example, see how this is up here, this middle thing between the A and the B. When you look at it on there, you'll see it's white. The higher it is to or closer to the camera, the whiter it will be, and then it will be more gray as it gets lower. So that's how it's showing depth. And so you see that point right between A and B right here. And if I go up, you'll see it is the highest point like that. So also a few quick tips when you're making the game, and if you've never used Unity, this is, by the way, very much like Unity, and I've actually never actually used the other one. I almost called it Unreal. It is the Unreal Engine, but if you have not used any of those, the movement is you hold down the right mouse button, and you can then use WASD to kind of move the camera. You use Q and E to move up and down. It allows you to navigate a whole lot easier. You can use the scroll wheel too to kind of scroll between, go out and in, and then you can double click on things to get to them quickly. So that is the best way to navigate. What I will probably do is, I don't know if I can, take excerpts of my different videos and do some kind of tips or tricks, or maybe even create a separate video just with some very quick and dirty ways of editing in Core, because I do have to say it is an extremely powerful system. It saves a ton of time when making games. There's nothing I have come across in making games that is simpler. Now, I mean, one downside is you can't bring in your own 3D objects, but the reason that is, and it's a very good reason, is because the networking. Since these are all multiplayer games, they have to use their own assets because they are, you don't want to load in 1,000 different assets that they don't have, and their network would need to load them. So it would create already some unnecessary lag. There are already enough lag problems. They don't need people to add more by putting in their own 3D objects with 25 billion tries on them. Excuse me. So this is the minimap. Another very cool thing in the community content. I recommend browsing around and finding things. There's always something for whatever game you're going to create. But if you're doing a dungeon crawler or even a shooter where you actually want to show where everybody is, the minimap is actually pretty cool. And it uses that planes, the one-sided planes, so that you don't see it. So you see these shadows in edit mode, but in play mode, they do not show. But you see it in that upper corner there. And that's pretty cool. I do like how that works. I used that on one of my racing games. For the other racing game, I used the built-in one with the framework, with the racing framework, which is very different from that. The racing framework actually uses the series of waypoints to build the map. It's a very different way of doing it. So as far as creating objects, like say you don't like that as far as 3D objects, and you want to create something like a drone, for example. The reason I say drone is I've actually built one before in this game. The way to do it is called kit bashing. It's where you take a few different items and you bash them together to make what you want. A lot of times there are some, or not a lot of times, you'll notice in a lot of games that people have used kit bashing to create their cars. In the racing games, for example, that's the best example I can give because people made some amazing cars using kit bashing. The way to do it is you go to core content and you go to 3D objects, and there's an entire this huge library. You've got things that are already fully put together, like this fantasy clay pots, which is all of them, or you can get the individuals. But say you wanted a certain shape, you want to make a drone, and there's no easy drone thing. So what I did was I went through all these objects, and you can make it out of these simple shapes, and that would have been fine. But at the time, I wanted to save time. I didn't want to spend too much time on it. So I actually grabbed the wing from the spaceship, which is right here, the spaceship. Let me make sure it's on the screen. My big head's not covering it up. And you click on that. And, I'm going to just grab the parts I need. So let's do ring, let me do ring large. And the light, the middle light that I use, I actually put, not lighty, light, and let's do this barrier light thing here. So just an example. So using these three parts, I built my drone, a ring, a wing, and a light. And so what I did was I took the wing and I duplicated it. And you can flip these things by right-clicking, doing mirror object, and on the x-axis. And that's not the axis I wanted. I want to do the y. Yes. And so there you go. You have your wings for your drone already done. You can just make that right there. And this is going to be its head. And let's rotate it, 90 degrees? Negative 90. And then, whoops, I'll fix that. And then, hold on. Okay, negative 90 and then 90. Okay. And what I found is if you're going to type in this stuff, make sure you click back on the object before you start moving, or hit W to then change it from rotate to something else, because that won't work. All right. So there's the head. All right, let's move the wings up. Oh, I had it all selected. And the ring too. All right. Make it a little bit bigger. All right, let's move them all up so we can see what we're doing. All right. So there's the beginnings, or actually there's the drone. And then what I did was to add a little bit of flair to it. Made this a little smaller. And the reason I used large, when you use objects with large, there's a lot fewer, you'll notice with some objects when it draws a circle, especially when it's supposed to be smooth. If you use the larger object, the one labeled large, it won't have as many kind of rough edges. It will be more of a nice, smooth circle, and they are, I highly recommend, they are very nice that way. So in this case, I used this. All right, I'm going to put this on the wing, but it's tilted a little bit, so let's go with this. Tilt it. Also, when you do an object for moving things around, like right now I've got it tilted a little bit. If I use the world moving, it will move it like that, which means right now where I've got the alignment perfectly with this wing at the right exact angle, it won't work. That's where you want to switch up here, and you can toggle to local. The other way to do it is to hit T, and then you can then move it, slide it along the angle that you have created for it, which I wasn't exactly right, but that is nice little thing that, you know, just to kind of switch so you're not always moving things based on the world. You're moving it based on its location and, whoa, oh, that's too big. All right, we're gonna move it this way, move it that way. All right, so now I'm going to color it. I'm gonna give it, let's use, I'm gonna use Emissive Glow Transparent. And you can see it's already kind of a cool color. I usually like to go with, I want to match, I want to do kind of a blue. And I showed in the last time to do kind of a really bright, this is already a glow, so you don't want to go too crazy with this. But if you change these, like I'm going to change this value, anything over 1 will create kind of more of a bloom, more of a glow. So I'm going to do this at 11. And then to complete it, once you have the new color, you do have to put it up here to then select it and hit OK. And then that is way too bright. That's not good. Let's just do 3 for this. As I said, it's already an emissive glow, so oops. Let's go up here. Okay, that's a little bit better. So let's go this and duplicate. And since it's already on the wing at the right angle that I wanted, I will right click and hopefully get this right. Don't know. Yeah, it seems to be right. Except a little bit that way, but I think that's because this one was a little bit too far that way. And let's go this way. All right. So this is the basics of kit bashing, and also you can change the materials of these kit bashed objects. And I'm gonna go with, let's see, this is the glowing middle, and I'm not gonna bother changing that, but I am gonna put, let's do this ultra bright one. That again, too bright. Go with that, and there we go. And then there you are. You have your drone, and you can then program it to move. There are, let's see, ways to do that. Let me move this to here so it has kind of a back wing looking to it. There we go. And so I have written a script that basically makes this hover and everything. Where it uses a random number. I did a random because I had a few drones and I didn't want them all moving in sync. A random number for how much it tilts, how much it tilts this way, and how much it tilts this way. And so they both, so all the drones look like they're just kind of floating there, and they're moving a little bit. It doesn't look as great as I thought it would, as much as I wanted it to, but it worked. One last part you want to add to this, because it has this, if you want to do a drone with, say, a spotlight on it, you can then just search for spot, and let's put that here. Where are you, spotlight? Let's bring you over here. Get you here. Go. And so the spotlight isn't an actual object, but let's move it down. You just add it to objects to make it work. Okay. So there you go. That will be the spotlight. The color, cast shadows. Let's see, intensity, I'll make it really bright. So you can't really, so if I were to, let me move this whole thing. I'm gonna actually, so when you create an object and you're done kit bashing, or even while you're working on it, highlight them all in the hierarchy here. And create a new group containing these. And we'll call it drone. And we're going to move it closer to where we start. Let me see if it's in the right place. Yeah. Oh, no. It is nowhere near the right place. Let's move it over here. Okay. So you don't really see, the spotlight is there. Let me see if it shines. Yeah, the reason you can't see it is because of the sky. Let's get rid of the sunlight. Skylight. Interesting. Okay. Let's put them back. And let's go back to the spotlight. Cone angle, let's make it more direct. Is it hitting the ground? Oh, that's part of the problem. I moved it too high. It needs to actually hit the ground. Okay. Now let's get rid of the skylight, sunlight. Still not doing it. I'm missing something. And again, if you keep having problems like these, you can go to the Core Creators Discord and people can help you out with things like, why is my spotlight not shining? I am missing something. Advanced settings. Nope, don't need those. It's interesting, I have done a spotlight before. I'm not totally certain why it is not projecting actual light. I've got 100 intensity on it. This should be working. I'm going to have to... See, I did cast shadows. So I should have been able to walk under it and have it work. Oh, wait, okay. Let's go with, yeah, that should work right there. The attenuation radius. I guess I didn't need to lower the drone. I just need to change this number. Okay. So... Oh, I know what it is. All right. So what I did, the reason this isn't working, and it's kind of silly on my part, it's because I have it inside the actual kit. It needs to sit just outside here because it can't shine. There we are. There's the spotlight. So yeah, it was because it was actually inside the object. That was kind of stupid of me. And that is why. So let's make this a little wider. So now if I were to get rid of all the light in the world, and you could find the spotlight, run into it, and there you are. And so this is how you can do like a lot of cinematics or, you know, different things with using spotlights and lighting. I got rid of the skylight, and you can do kind of a creepy thing with it. Be creative with how you do your lighting and everything. But so there's the drone. I am going to show. Let's save this. I'm going to go back. I'm going to grab my drone. I do have a little time. I'm going to grab what I did with my drone. I did it here. Did I do it anywhere else? Let's see. Yeah, I don't want to grab from my main project. I guess I will. All right. So this is my racing game I created. And I have a bunch of drones in here floating, and they've got spotlights on my cars. So when you hit play, vehicle selection, you see the drones and see how they're not all in sync. The light is kind of going back and forth. I've got a drone over here showing where the play area is, and you can see it's moving, and it has kind of this randomness to it. And this was also created using the basic framework, or the racing framework, and then I built it out from there for all the different parts to create my racing game. So this is my game. So let's go back to, let's hit play, it'll be easier. All right, I'm going to grab my code I used for my drone. Actually, you know what, the easiest thing to do is just what you can do if you have multiple projects and moving things from one project. Say you had a framework and you wanted to take an aspect of that framework. It's kind of like a kit bashing thing. Say you wanted a dungeon crawler but deathmatch, you could create one of the maps and then take aspects from one by just simply selecting the objects you want. You know, you hit copy. I just hit Control C, and then go back to main menu and go to our test project. And then I click on the hierarchy, just click here and I hit paste, and there's my drone. It is on the floor because when you just paste it, it does that. And then let's move it here. And then if I hit play, it should be doing its rotation and everything. And it's pretty low to the ground, so that's why the light is very intense. So, and you can see I changed the materials on it to not have the same, you know, the same look. I didn't really change many of the materials on this when I kit bashed it, but so that's the drone and how I built it to do the hovering thing. I used bobbing drone, is my script, and double click on it. And so everything's written in Lua language in Core. And basically I create a bunch of random numbers to then do the different vectors for again, the different ways of movement. So this does, let's see, rand 4, rotate continuous, geo, and the moving. So it does head bob delta, head bob duration. So it takes for the vector, it takes random 1. For the duration of the movement, it takes random 2. And then when it does the actual rotation, that's the other direction. It takes random 4 and random 3 for the amount of rotation and the amount of time. And then here for move 2, it uses the one already selected up there for random 1, and then duration random 2. And then it waits based on the same one from head bob duration, which is random 2. So there's a lot of different, that's why I used 4, because I really wanted a lot of randomness put in when you have multiple drones going and you don't want them to be in sync. And so this is relatively simple script. I should probably make community content out of this, just if people want a random drone floating in the sky, moving randomly, and they can maybe make it better than I did, because I kind of just threw this together to kind of get something that worked. So, and then it will repeat, and again, the repeat interval is decided by the random number, which again, I did between 15 and 30, 2 and 4, 2 and 4, 2 and 4. So that's the basics of the drone and how it moves and everything. So each time I load the game, it will be moving in a slightly different fashion. Sometimes it's a little too extreme. I notice it's not doing the more, it's just moving and kind of shifting. It's not really going the other direction, which I guess is okay. I should probably update that. So, but again, that is both kit bashing and programming something to move. So, I've been at this for an hour now. And so basically, this is just how starting a new game. This should hopefully get you on the path for finding the content you want, how to get started with the terrain, kit bashing, throwing in some community content that you might want if you want to have a shooting game with enemies, a racing game with cars, the materials. I went over that as far as car driving. I thought it affected people. I would be almost sure it does, but there is something I am missing, I am sure. I can jump in from the car here. So let's run into these invincible skeletons. I can't. Now the dragons, it's interesting when I'm there, it does not activate them if I'm in the car. But if I were to jump out, those dragons would go nuts and start getting me. So I'd jump in the car. So you could create a game like this where you jump in a car and things stop attacking you. There's probably a way to program it, but yeah, these skeletons are invincible. I am just kind of running into him here. It's kind of funny. Trying to get him to walk on my car so I can maybe drive him along. Come on, jump up on the car like you did before, man. All right. So this is technically a basic, very basic game. You can't really publish this because there's no... This would be more of a tech demo. There's a lot of those. If you go into the core library, a lot of people did some tech demos, basically testing some things out and putting them out there. And that's actually a third option that I'll probably do another stream. And I'll leave with that. I'm going to go back to the main menu. Actually, I'll save. Go back to the main menu. When you do create a new project, it gives you these options, but you can also do community projects. They are things already out there that you can then create a new one based off of it. So say you play Farmer's Market and you love that game, but you're like, if only you could mine in this game too. You can then take the game, save it to your account, and you can try to add mining into it. I'm surprised no one else has done that yet. There are games out there where people have mining and everything like that, but no one's taken the basic things of Farmer's Market, where you've got the farm, you've got the fishing, metal detecting, which is kind of random, and add something like mining. It wouldn't be... Well, I can't say it. For someone who knows what they're doing, it probably could do something like that. That would be kind of cool. So there's plenty of these where people have put their game out there for you to just take and improve on or use it for your own game. It's pretty cool. It's actually for my first racing game, because there was no racing framework until I think it was the end of May. In April, I built a racing game, and I found it was from Wave Paradigm. This guy who does Icy Limbs and Jelly Limbs, and he put those out there for you. There was a racing template that he created. I think it went away, but someone who did build it based on it is still there. This Wipeout 2021 is actually has Wave Paradigm's basic framework for racing, and I grabbed it from there because he did have something, but then I couldn't find it anymore. So you can always search. You can do racing if you want to just see what other people have done and put out there, and you can grab it, update based on what they've done. A lot of interesting stuff. Let's do race, because there were some funny ones. I think someone did the Home Alone kid before. I guess that's gone. It's not really showing. It's also cutting off. It's weird. It's very weird. So this would be community content. I will do another video based on that, and a future stream. But for now, I think that will be the end. I'm going to go back to Core World, and we will end on that. Let's go back to... Oh, they put me here. Interesting. I want to... Oh, just disappeared on me. Let's get rid of that. Go here. Go here. Oh, that's interesting. Lost it completely. That's okay. But weird. All right. Anyway. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to end there. Thank you for coming. If you haven't hit subscribe, I would really appreciate it. If you want to have any notifications of when I go live or when I have new videos up, hit like if you liked this. That helps the channel out a ton. And then put any ideas in the comments for more things you want to see with building. If there's any type of game you want to see, I can maybe quickly throw something together. And I say quickly, as you can see from this last hour. It's not exactly fast, but there are tremendous time savers in the core editors, and I highly recommend it for many reasons. One of them is you can prototype something very quickly in core. If you are, if you're a Unity developer or, Unreal developer, you can always just use this to kind of get ideas out there quickly. You can see how people play your game. There are promotions, so you can see how people play your game and maybe any tweaks you can put in before you put it on Steam or whatever. I mean, you can't take what you've done in core and put it into Unity, but you can at least kind of build something here and kind of test things out. And who knows, maybe you'll end up preferring it like I have. As far as making games, it's just, it saves a lot of time, and time is not something I have a whole ton of. So it's really nice, and I highly recommend it. So with that, I am going to log off for the night. Thank you for coming. I wonder why it does. There it goes. That's weird. When I'm switching between the two, it just does that weird kind of black screen. So with that, thank you again for coming. I really appreciate you watching the video. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button. Helps the channel out. And I will then... Let's see, stop stream. I'm trying to find that button. All right. So I will then see you next time. I'm trying to do this every night at around midnight Eastern. Some nights I won't be able to. It kind of depends on my schedule and everything. But this will be the time that I hit the go live button. So I will see you next time. Thank you very much for coming.